never know what you're going to find. We just found this bureau, and it's amazing. And first, we're going to have to show the front of it. Yes. All right. We're going to hold it up, not for too long. See the feet? These are OG feet with double scroll returns, which is typical of New London County. It was pretty much only done here. And we know who made this. Because when we turned it upside down, his glue blocks are typical of this particular maker. And his name was Felix Huntington.
From Norwich.
And you see the spotting on the front of the drawers? That is plum pudding mahogany, which is the highest grade of mahogany, and it was only used for really special pieces of furniture. And it's really amazing. Well, that was only 5 chips. So, look at the color. So by now you should be seeing what that color is starting to look like when it's really oxidized and unadulterated. Well, one of the things that Felix Huntington did was he made triangular glue blocks. And these are all the original glue blocks. Quite amazing. And there's only glue that's holding those. And that is hide glue. And it's truly remarkable that almost every glue block is still intact, no nails, just glue. And one of the things that he did was he used wooden pins a lot. And the chest has a lot of wooden pins throughout the construction.
Especially on the base molding. And you can almost see it easier on the inside when you take the bottom drawer out. That base molding is held to the case by the use of wooden pins. And it took a lot more time to use the wooden pins, but it was a lot more economical because of that iron being in Norwich, well removed from the furnaces in Kent and Litchfield County. So I think you'd rather take the time and use the wooden pins than spend the money on using the nails. And for this is chestnut bottom,
Yeah.
So the bottom board is a single board of chestnut, and that's a type of secondary wood that we find in New London County and into Rhode Island. So that New London County being in the eastern part of the state, they adopted that use of chestnut, which is very strong but brittle. It's stronger than pine and it's harder to work with than pine, but it was something they decided to use to get that trade-off for the strength in New London County.
What are the pins?
Probably hardwood, so this has,
Maple.
yeah, probably
Probably
maple.
maple.
Yeah, this is mahogany, solid mahogany side, solid mahogany top, and then, I think how small. And mahogany veneer on the drawer fronts that I believe is veneered on. And again, you get that straight front on the inside. A little bit of a cutout here for the lock, but they had posts that were long enough. Because this is serpentine, where it's swelled in the center and shallow on the sides. Eastern white pine on the side, on the bottom, and then tulip poplar on the sides. Again, that New London County mixing of the secondary ones.
And so this chest was probably made maybe 1785 and 95. And we can actually start to see that the draw sides and the draw bottom are getting thinner, which is a two-part. It's an influence of Boston, where they were out of wood, which is a they're following the lead of England, which is really out of wood. And so they started to make the draw sides really thin, and the dovetails get smaller, and they're starting to use mahogany veneer because it's cheaper than a whole mahogany. So the mahogany veneer is actually veneered on pine. So this guy, Felix Huntington, was making some very terrific furniture in Norwich and very advanced design. This is one of the probably best examples of a Felix Huntington chest that we found. And we just got this within 2 weeks. It's really a jewel.
Arthur, you called the glue high glue?
I'm sorry.
The glue, I'm surprised it didn't break down.
High glue has been used for thousands of years. And it's a glue that expands and contracts to a certain extent. It does not hold like super glues that we have now. It doesn't budge at all. And so you get a lot more cracking of whatever object the super glue is attached to. It just doesn't move. The high glue is used for priming canvases for painters, for artists, and it literally has been used for thousands of years. And really good cabinetry, that's what they use.
They found Pharaoh's tombs.
I'm sorry?
They found high glue in Pharaoh's tombs.
Yeah, thousands of years, yeah.
Isn't that boiling down animal hides? And isn't that a protein that's going to naturally expand and contract when it takes water on?
Yes, oh yeah, you
So
can,
that's where I think the
warm water is the solvent for high glue. All you have to do is soak it in warm water and it loosens right up. So it is the glue of choice for really good cabinet makers because it's all reversible. Yes?
Is that an example of your stretch test?
Not by intent. We call that in the trade dealer marks, dealer ferns. But I can show you if you'd like. And so, and you know, this is very interesting too. In early houses, the wood of choice was oak. White oak was first. Then when they started to run out of white oak, they started going to red oak. And then they went to chestnut. And people who don't really study all that much think that the best frame you could possibly have for an old barn or an old house is a chestnut. Not true. That is the third choice. White oak, red oak, then chestnut. And then probably by 1780, most barn frames and house frames are being made out of chestnut, not early oak, which is so much more durable.
And we touched a little bit on the returns here, but these are really amazing, and it's really New London County with this graduated double scrolled returns. The Colchester one has that big single scroll that's facing back towards the foot. In Norwich and Felix Huntington, he used the graduated smaller ones, lining up, kind of pointing towards the center of the chest. And we think, this is based on some, we call it Chippendale furniture, and it's really based on the Rococo style that came out of Europe. And really what they wanted was something that was visually exciting and visually active. So that idea of this double scroll kind of moving you towards the center of the chest is, very minor visually exciting, but it's there. It really is a great element. Just down a little bit of
Hey, I just had one quick question. So you had mentioned on Loomis and everything how sharp his dovetails were. He being a high-end cabinet maker in Norwich, were his dovetails just quite as deep, sharp?
Yes. Yes, they
Yeah,
are.
yeah, they're really nice, not quite the same equilateral triangle that Loomis used. These are kind of longer, longer kind of extended triangles, but this is a good view of them because it's a really thick, where that drawer front extends. So you get that, like I say, getting towards the Federal period, you get more of a narrow triangle on the dovetail.
So it's not quite the equilateral like that Loomis had. But there's no question, we now can see a lot of times and identify pieces with a certain amount of knowledge where the dovetails came from.